Fox 61 News at 5 starts now.
And now at 5, Rick DeBate learns his fate as he is sentenced in connection to his wife's murder. How long he'll spend behind bars.
Been a difficult year here in Waterbury.
Police investigating the third homicide in a week, this one also outside a restaurant. What officials are saying about their search for a suspect. Plus, troubles continue for former President Donald Trump. What we're learning about the future of the FBI's affidavit used to search his Mar-a-Lago home.
Very difficult thing for me to tell people that this is my last year.
And we're sitting down with the director of the Manchester Road Race after he announces his retirement. Good evening and thanks for joining us at 5. I'm Brent Harden. Earlier today in Rockville Superior Court, Rick DeBate had his motions for a new trial and acquittal both denied just before the judge sentenced him to 65 years in prison. DeBate was convicted in May of murdering his wife Connie in 2015. Fox 61's Tony Terzi was inside an emotional courtroom today for sentencing and joins us live now from the courthouse. Tony.
Hey, Brent. Good afternoon, everyone. As you can imagine, it was very, very emotional in the courtroom. Tears on both sides, those in favor of Rick DeBate and his now deceased wife, Connie DeBate. There was lots of debate in the courtroom for sure, and one of those who spoke very passionately on behalf of her daughter was Connie DeBate's mother. Cameras not permitted in the courtroom for today's sentencing of Rick DeBate, but his mother-in-law shared details of a chilling phone conversation with her daughter the morning of her murder.
The first thing she said on the phone was, "Mom, I love you. You're my best friend." And I didn't know what's going on. I said, "I love you too, and you're a good friend of mine."
But there was more.
She says, I just want to let you know, Rick is a mess today. And I just wish I had said, well, if he's such a mess, why don't you come to my house? We'll have breakfast.
Rick and Connie DeBate's now teenage sons live with an aunt who told the court that at one point one of the sons asked her to text his mother in heaven and to use a telescope to see heaven.
Today is a accumulation of almost 7 years of stress and anxiety, hurt and pain.
During her statement in court, Rick DeBate's mother said if her son was guilty of murdering his wife, he would have admitted it.
Today was the close of just the first chapter of the litigation in this case. We are going to continue to fight with the appeal.
Among the key evidence, Connie DeBate's Fitbit. The data extracted from it suggests she was still moving around their house an hour after Rick DeBate said she was killed.
I think that's going to be for an appellate court to decide. That was my argument, is it's not sufficiently reliable and proven.
But for now, Connie DeBate's family can finally breathe.
I just feel like, I don't know, a surge from up above. I just feel the strength coming to me, right now.
It was really nice to see her with a smile and her hands extended upward today. That both families have certainly been through a lot. Now, we also spoke after the court hearing today to a longtime resident of the DeBates on the road in which they lived in Ellington. And she said she thought it was very strange that 3 days after the murder, she said Rick DeBate was texting neighbors asking for suggestions on good takeout restaurants. We're live here outside Rockville Superior Court. I'm Tony Terzi, Fox 61 News.
Tony, thank you. Waterbury police have identified this morning's shooting victim as 32-year-old Lashard Santos. The shooting marks the third fatal shooting in less than a week that took place outside of a restaurant-type business. Fox 61's DeAndrea Turner is in Waterbury, where police provided an update on the case.
Well, there hasn't been an arrest made in this shooting, but officials do tell me that they do have a prime suspect and they are working to get an arrest warrant. 3 shootings in less than 1 week in Waterbury.
I was scared.
The latest victim, the 32-year-old Lashard Santos, was killed early Thursday morning near Birdie's West Indian Restaurant on North Main Street. The shooting not too far from several homes.
Yeah, I heard bullet, 3 shots, and I got scared.
Waterbury's chief of police says that violent crimes have increased by more than 28% this year.
Been a difficult year here in Waterbury.
Another suspect in a homicide that happened earlier this week, Ramon Rodriguez, is a repeat offender. Police say that he's been arrested 19 times in the city and 6 times just this year.
Very concerning when we look at history of someone like that and their access to weapons and their availability to do harm in our community.
Is it scary to live in Waterbury?
Yes, it's scary.
Why?
I mean, I don't know, because when I first moved here, I thought Waterbury was going to be good.
But the chief assures that concerns of the community aren't falling on deaf ears.
These were certainly targeted incidents. We don't feel that our community is, in jeopardy of, a random shooting at this point in time. We are working very hard. Our crime prevention unit is out there in full force. Again, our investigators are out there in full force.
And since the beginning of the year, there have been 10 homicides in the city of Waterbury. Out of those 10, 9 have been solved. And this is an ongoing investigation. As soon as we learn more information, we'll update you here on air and online at fox61.com. In Waterbury, DeAndrea Turner, Fox 61 News.
All right, DeAndrea, thanks. Farmington police have made an arrest in connection to a crash that killed a teenager back in June. Police say 21-year-old Jacob Coffey was speeding when he ran a red light on Colt Highway and hit a car driven by 17-year-old Luke Rue. Rue later died from his injuries. Police say Coffey was also drunk at the time of the crash. He was released on $250,000 bond and is due back in court next week. And on the Health Watch tonight, more cases of mosquitoes with West Nile virus popping up across the state. Officials in Greenwich confirming they've had mosquitoes test positive. West Nile has now been detected in 17 towns. However, there have not been any human cases reported as of yet. All right, turning now to the weather and Chief Meteorologist Rachel Frank with a look at the forecast. Rach?
We've got some much needed showers out there, Brent, and these are actually more widespread than I expected. Forecast error in our favor. Yay! We like it when it rains more than expected, although hopefully you didn't have anything going on outside. And some areas are getting some downpours out there. Bonus for Monroe, Oxford, and Seymour. If you're living in Bethany, you're getting clipped by this, and the New Haven area. If you're not seeing any showers just yet, you will be shortly. And we also have some showers here coming in through Litchfield County and another area of a downpour here around Lyme. And that's going to continue to move towards New London and Quaker Hill. A nice little shower for all of your plants, and especially for areas that are now in an extreme drought in eastern Connecticut as of today. Give it another couple of hours or so and these showers will be on the way out of here. You'll see where it's been wetter today over the last couple of hours. It's cooler than the eastern half of the state. A bit breezy, so these showers are also helping to kind of reduce the brush fire risk out there with the dry conditions and a gusty breeze. It's been a bad recipe today. So as we head towards the news at 10, we're already dry heading through the evening tonight. Overnight lows in the 60s, and tomorrow we start to heat things up a bit more. High temperatures between 85 to right around 90 degrees with lots of sunshine. Not humid yet, but it will get there through the weekend. We'll take a look at that forecast coming up.
All right, Rachel, thank you. As Connecticut continues to see significantly less rainfall than normal this summer, Governor Ned Lamont has announced that New London and Windham counties are now in stage 3 drought conditions. That means those areas are in what's considered a moderate drought event, potentially impacting water supplies, agriculture, and natural ecosystems. The decision to go up a stage was recommended by the Connecticut Interagency Drought Work Group, which is a team formed by representatives from 6 different Connecticut government agencies. Well, they're calling eastern Connecticut the bullseye of the drought, saying that in the past 6 months, Windham, New London, and Middlesex counties have received only 60 to 65% of their normal rainfall, which is worse than the rest of the state, falling around 75 to 80%. Looking at the past 2 months, New London and Middlesex only received 30% of their normal rainfall, whereas the rest of the state is hovering close to 50% of normal. None of that is good. And earlier today, Senator Richard Blumenthal announcing a $593,000 federal grant aimed at helping formerly incarcerated people find employment. The money is going to Capital Workforce Partners and will be supporting their programs that help Hartford County residents who were, at some point in their lives, incarcerated. The group's president speaking on how important it is to give people another chance.
It's a good thing to give individuals a second chance in a way that doesn't allow their past to define their future.
Now, the group plans on using the money to support their career services, workforce training, job placement, and mental and behavioral health science services program. A new reaction to a federal judge's decision to partially unseal the affidavit connected to the FBI raid of Mar-a-Lago last week. The Florida judge acknowledged the Department of Justice's argument it contains sensitive information about sources, but also said the intense public interest warrants some release. Fox correspondent Lauren Blanchard has a closer look from Washington.
He understands that the public is going to likely be entitled to some parts of this warrant application and its affidavit.
In South Florida, Judge Bruce Reinhart says he's inclined to make public some of the affidavit, which led to an early morning FBI raid at former President Trump's resort home. Also ruling the application for the warrant, the motion to seal, and the cover sheet be made public. The Justice Department objects to the release. They claim it would do irreparable harm to an ongoing investigation, which they say is in its early stages.
I think Judge Reinhart is going to protect the identity of confidential informants, and that's probably the right outcome here.
A number of news outlets asked to see why the drastic step of a raid was needed. It's already known 11 boxes of the highest levels of classified documents were taken out of Mar-a-Lago by agents. The former president claims everything was declassified, and he has encouraged the release of the affidavit.
It's really important to understand that what this does is it potentially betrays sources, and also crucially, it can tell adversaries how we gather information. So it is potentially very damaging to national security. The FBI had no choice but to do what they did here.
The judge also reminded attorneys they can appeal his decision.
It will be released eventually.
The Justice Department has 1 week to make suggestions on what they would want redacted. The judge has the final decision. In Washington, Lauren Blanchard, Fox News.